This program is brought to you by Link TV for educational and non-commercial use only. Mosaic, a daily news program from Link TV, presents a selection of news reports from independent and state-controlled broadcasters from throughout the Middle East.
Iran has informed the International Atomic Energy Agency that it is building a new pilot fuel enrichment plant. The plant is being built near the holy city of Qom, some 160 kilometers south of Tehran. Iran's nuclear chief Ali Akbar Salehi says the plant operates according to the rules of the IAEA. In a letter to the UN watchdog on Monday, Iran said it has not begun nuclear activities at the site yet, and the enrichment level of the centrifuges will be up to 5%, the level used for nuclear fuel to generate electricity. The agency also confirmed that it had received the letter, but U.S. President Barack Obama accused Tehran of concealing information about its nuclear program. He urged the IAEA to thoroughly investigate reports about the second plant.
IAEA to immediately investigate this disturbing information and to report to the IAEA Board of Governors. It is time for Iran to act immediately to restore the confidence of the international community by fulfilling its international obligations.
Meanwhile, Iran's President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad has denied his country is working in secrecy on its nuclear program. He made the comment in an interview with Time magazine. The Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, which Iran is a signatory to, gives Iran the inalienable right to the full nuclear fuel cycle and nuclear power. Meanwhile, numerous reports by the IAEA confirm the non-diversion of Iran's nuclear program. Earlier, our correspondent in Vienna told us about the IAEA's reaction to the news.
There have been questions and concerns for the whole morning here in Vienna regarding the information that Iran is constructing a new pilot fuel enrichment plant. To disperse such concerns in a letter, a written statement to all the journalists here in Vienna, the IAEA spokesperson Mark Vidrikier said that the letter indeed has stated that the enrichment level would be up to 5% in Iran, but Iran has assured the agency in the letter that further complementary information will be provided in appropriate and due time regarding this issue, and in response the IAEA has requested Iran to provide specific information and access to the facility as soon as possible, so that this would allow the agency to assess safeguards verification requirements for the facility. This all has been confirmed already by the IAEA, as well as the fact that the agency has also understands from Iran that no nuclear material has been introduced to the facility. This is a very important point already confirmed by the IAEA spokesperson.
Let's bring Eva live from Vienna now. Eva, if you can hear me, any developments since we last talked to you?
For the time being, amazing is the diplomatic silence that we've been encountering for the whole day from every possible side, from every possible door that we tried to knock. The latest development is that yes, the IAEA confirmed in the letter, in the written statement, that the facility is under construction, that the facility will increase the enrichment up to 5%, and that this facility, which I stress is again under construction and not operational, will operate with all its activities under the auspices of the IAEA and under the rules of IAEA, exactly like Natanz. This would mean a 24-hour observation. This was also confirmed by Ali Akbar Salehi, the Iranian nuclear chief, in his statement delivered in Tehran earlier today. This is the latest update from Vienna.
All right, Eva, there's something that has to be cleared. Iran's president, Mahmoud Ahmadinejad, says that his country is not obliged to inform the United States about its nuclear activities. At the same time, Iran is saying that it has informed the IAEA in time, but again, world media, leaders of the 5 permanent members, specifically Russia, France, and Britain, as well as the United States, have been accusing Iran of withholding information about this under construction nuclear site.
Well, indeed, this is the discrepancy in the whole story, that this issue is purely technical, and indeed Iran has informed in due time the agency about something that is in fact a voluntary decision by the Iran to inform about the construction of such a second enrichment facility in Iran. Ali Akbar Saleh already said in his statement that this facility would be protected from any attacks or threat of attacks. The decision to inform the IAEA has been completely voluntary and in accordance with the technical and legal basis of the agency. Of course, we heard the speeches of Barack Obama and Nicolas Sarkozy and Gordon Brown today, which said a little bit different information than what IAEA disclosed earlier today. And what will happen from now on, we are about to see regarding the full diplomatic blackout that we are at the moment.
According to a White House official, the U.S., Britain, and France will accuse Iran of building a secret nuclear facility. The American President Obama will make this accusation when he addresses the G20 summit shortly.
The International Atomic Energy Agency announced that it received a letter from Iran last Monday, which stated that Iran has been building a uranium enrichment facility.
It is worth mentioning that Iran has had only one uranium enrichment facility until now, the Natanz nuclear reactor, which is subject to visits by the IAEA.
Why did Iran disclose that it is building a new nuclear facility for uranium enrichment? Only a few hours after the UN Security Council passed a resolution to decrease nuclear proliferation, the International Atomic Energy Agency announced that it received a letter from Iran a few days earlier, in which Tehran disclosed it has been building a second nuclear facility for uranium enrichment, in addition to its Natanz facility. Iran stated in a letter to the IAEA that the nuclear facility is under construction. Uranium will be enriched in this facility by 5%. The letter said that no nuclear materials have been transported yet to the facility and that more details will be announced at the right time. The letter coincided with a New York Times report revealing that the U.S., Britain, and France will announce Iran's possession of a secret nuclear facility for uranium enrichment. The newspaper said that the 3 countries will demand Tehran open its secret facilities to IAEA inspectors.
وأضافت الصحيفة أن القادة الثلاثة كانوا ينوون مطالبة طهران بفتح منشآتها السرية.
Iran's announcement concerning its facility was a preemptive step, as Western powers intended to reveal the news only a few hours later. This makes the Iranian nuclear case even more complicated, and it derails the possibility of reaching an agreement in the negotiations scheduled to take place on October 1st between the P5 plus Germany and Iran. These countries have been demanding that Iran stop its nuclear enrichment, but Tehran continues its enrichment despite the fact that the Security Council has passed 3 resolutions imposing sanctions on Iran.
ومعي من طهران مراسلنا ملهم ريا. ملهم لا شك هذا الكشف.
Joining me from Tehran, Al Jazeera's Melhim Raya. Melhim, without a doubt, the Iranian announcement has provoked a storm in Pittsburgh and other places. How do you think this will affect Iran's position?
نعم بداية الليلة دعيني أشير إلى أن هذا الخبر لم يتم نفيه أو تأكيده من قبل الجانب.
First of all, Layla, let me say that so far this news has not been denied or confirmed by Iran. However, if it turns out to be true, then this will raise many questions, especially because Iran voluntarily provided the information. The information was not discovered by the International Atomic Energy Agency or any other Western intelligence agency. The news came before negotiations between the Permanent Security Council members and Germany and Iran. These negotiations are very sensitive because they come after a long absence of talks. Iran has high hopes for these negotiations. It wants positive results to pave the way for additional rounds of negotiations with Western countries in order to resolve the nuclear issue.
The United States, France, Britain, and Germany condemned Iran's announcement that it possesses a second nuclear reactor for uranium enrichment. U.S. President Barack Obama said that the Iranian nuclear program is larger than Iran's need for fuel. He demanded Tehran's immediate and complete cooperation in the negotiations over its nuclear program, which will begin on October 1st. Otherwise, Iran will face more sanctions.
This site deepens a growing concern that Iran is refusing to live up to those international responsibilities, including specifically revealing all nuclear-related activities. As the international community knows, this is not the first time that Iran has concealed information about its nuclear program.
British Prime Minister Gordon Brown requested the IAEA to investigate what he considers to be Iranian violation of Tehran's international obligation within nuclear fields. Brown said that imposing sanctions would be the best possible measure. However, he will not take any options off the table.
We're asking Iran to explain itself, and we're asking the International Atomic Energy Authority to investigate.
We are asking Iran to explain itself, and we're asking the International Atomic Energy Agency to investigate the matter, which we believe violates international rules. As you know, there is a meeting scheduled to take place on October 1st between the Group of 5+1, and we urge Iran to give its answers in this meeting. I believe that you've heard in the statements made by me and Presidents Obama and Sarkozy how seriously we take what we consider to be the most urgent proliferation problem that the world is facing.
We take what we consider to be the most urgent proliferation problem that the world is facing.
Meanwhile, Russia expressed its concerns about the nuclear site that was uncovered in Iran. In Iran, the head of the Iranian Nuclear Energy Organization, Ali Akbar Saleh, announced that the site Iran is building is not a secret. A U.S. official said that the International Nuclear Energy Agency demanded Iran open the nuclear site and provide necessary information for international inspections.
Well, history was made today as Olmert became the first former Israeli prime minister to face criminal charges in a court of law. Olmert, together with his 5-man defense team, arrived at the Jerusalem District Court at 8:30 this morning for his arraignment hearing. Olmert told the court he understood the charges against him, but will not be required to respond to them until December. The 61-page charge sheet includes allegations of fraud, breach of trust, falsifying corporate documents, and concealing fraudulent earnings, or as they have become known in the media as the Rishon Tors and Talansky affairs. All of the charges concern crimes allegedly committed before Olmert became prime minister in 2006. Under intense public pressure, Olmert resigned the premiership in September of last year, but continues to insist that he is innocent. He told reporters today that he came to the court as an innocent man and believes that he will come out an innocent man. The court ruled today that it will begin hearing testimony in the case on February 22nd and will hold 3 sessions each week. Questioned by reporters, Olmert's defense attorney, Eli Zohar, refused to rule out the possibility of a plea bargain agreement.
He is entering the courtroom as innocent, and I hope that he will go out innocent.
Netanyahu, who returned to Israel this afternoon, blasted the United Nations over a number of issues, among them allowing Iranian President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad to spew Holocaust denial from the same podium before the General Assembly.
Yesterday,
The man who calls the Holocaust a lie spoke from this podium. To those who refused to come and to those who left in protest, I commend you. You stood up for moral clarity and you brought honor to your countries. But to those who gave this Holocaust denier a hearing, I say on behalf of my people, the Jewish people, and decent people everywhere, have you no shame? Have you no decency? A mere 6 decades after the Holocaust, you give legitimacy to a man who denies the murder of 6 million Jews?
إضافة إلى الأهداف الدينية والأخلاقية والاجتماعية التي يعمل عليها
The occupation has a religious, social, moral, and political agenda to spread drugs in Jerusalem. As the number of drug addicts increases, the addicts in turn need huge sums of money to pay for their drugs and have nothing to sell except their homes and land. Therefore, they sell their land or are forced to do things that harm the Palestinian cause and Islamic and national principles. This may be considered another method used to strip Jerusalem of its Arab identity. Mr. Yaqub from Beirut, is this another kind of war used by the occupation against Jerusalemites?
Of course, I believe so 100%. It's a war in the full sense of the word. It's another type of war, not a war that uses military apparati, but social weapons that are more lethal than those weapons normally used in warfare. As I said before, the Israeli occupation realizes that Jerusalemites are the main obstacle, preventing them from making Jerusalem the Jewish capital of Israel. The occupation will use any method to dismantle the Arab population in Jerusalem. It's a war in the full sense of the word. It's a social war this time, and an economic one as well, against the residents of Jerusalem. We are talking about alarming numbers of people using drugs. This is happening in the holy city of Jerusalem, the holiest place in the world. The percentage of drug users here is the highest in the world. In exceptional cases, children as young as 9 years old use drugs. I would like to emphasize that these are exceptional cases because, as Dr. Abdul Haq said, we cannot generalize. However, young children are now using drugs in Jerusalem.
Does this have any dangerous implications?
Certainly. Drugs are used to trap young Palestinians, transforming them into tools the occupation forces use to satisfy its agenda in Jerusalem.
Mr. Juwayhan, Jerusalem is the only city that offers free drugs to its addicts, and the occupation pays them a monthly stipend as well. They pay the addict 1,200 to 2,400 shekels a month under the pretext that he is ill and without work.
يعني في الواقع هذول يعني هو قانون اجتماعي المفروض من هذا القانون انه يعني مساعدة.
Clearly, this is a civic law that is supposed to help the addict's family because he is unable to work. Some of this money is supposed to go to his family. But unfortunately, I work in drug rehabilitation, and I can tell you that most rehabilitation centers in Jerusalem and outside of it suffer from this phenomenon. As long as an Arab drug addict in Eastern Jerusalem receives money, he will continue to use drugs.
من القدس الشرقية طول ما هو بيستعمل مخدرات بياخد فلوس وحتى يحصل على الفلوس حتى يعني
Drug addicts in Jerusalem do not even have to go to a committee like drug addicts in the rest of Israel. They only have to go to an agency in East Jerusalem where they take 3 urine tests in 3 consecutive days. They must test positive for heroin to prove they are dependent on heroin.
إنه يعني هو إيجابي بيستعمل هيروين.
Once an addict tests positive, he is given a social security card that entitles him to receive stipends the same month in which he took the urine test. Unfortunately, as a result, a lot of older married men don't work and are unemployed. They try to get this money and even to start families on the stipend, thinking they can control their drug usage. They say, I'm not an addict and I can control it.
Security services in Morocco have arrested 24 members of a terrorist network linked to al-Qaeda that recruited volunteers for suicide bombings in Iraq. Meanwhile, members of the Iraqi parliament called on their country's intelligence services to exert international efforts aimed at uncovering and pursuing terrorist networks.
24 terror suspects were transferred to the investigative division of the Moroccan Security Services. Moroccan authorities dismantled a terrorist network that recruited volunteers for suicide bombings in Morocco, Iraq, and Afghanistan. The Moroccan Ministry of Interior stated that the network has coordinated with terrorists in Belgium and Sweden. 20 volunteers for suicide bombings in Iraq have sought consultation in Belgium and Sweden. The would-be suicide bombers planned to cross into Iraq via Syrian territories. The Iraqi political institution praised the Moroccan Authority over their latest arrests in Rabat. Iraqi Deputy Minister of State for Foreign Affairs described the Moroccan move as a step in the right direction and hopes that it will open a new chapter in the country's relations.
This is a great opportunity for both Iraq and Morocco. We need to coordinate with one another. We need to coordinate on various levels. We need to coordinate with the Ministry of State for Foreign Affairs and the Ministry of Interior. We need to build bridges of cooperation and brotherly ties. Morocco is willing to cooperate.
Security and military experts said that the arrests made in the Moroccan capital Rabat are an opportunity for Iraq to call on the UN Security Council to reactivate its special laws on Iraq's genocide. It's also an opportunity for Iraq to call on the Arab League to reactivate its joint defense treaty signed by member states. Military experts said that Iraq is entitled to review the outcome of any investigation launched on the terrorist network. Iraq can use the investigation to introduce new evidence that may be admissible in the International Criminal Court that Iraq seeks to form. The investigation may help Iraq solve other cases of terrorist attacks launched in the country.
Any conspirator, whether a group, a terrorist network, or a country, must be brought before the International Investigative Tribunal. This is one way to gather, corroborate, and present the criminal evidence against the perpetrators. The final decision will be rendered by the International Criminal Court.
Meanwhile, members of the Iraqi parliament called on the country's intelligence services to exert international efforts to uncover and pursue terrorist networks. The Iraqi intelligence services are being urged to monitor international terrorist activities and to foil terrorist plots.
The Iraqi Intelligence Agency is a newly developed institution. The agency is not in a position to establish anti-terror hubs and infiltrate enemy lines. However, we would like to urge the agency to take responsible actions and open international centers in order to infiltrate the enemies and stop them before reaching Iraq.
After the former Soviet Union's war in Afghanistan ended, a number of Arab and Islamic countries suffered from the actions of those referred to as the returnees from Afghanistan. It seems that history is repeating itself, but under a different name, the returnees from Iraq. This will be the case unless these countries follow in the footsteps of the Kingdom of Morocco and join the international community in the fight against terrorism and its sources.
جديد ونتابع برنامج نهاية الأسبوع. الآباء يأكلون الحصرم والأبناء.
Children pay the price of their parents' actions. Perhaps this folk proverb accurately describes the experience of children whose parents have divorced. Yusra Abu Hamed is a Syrian doctor living in London, and her two sons disappeared with their father 9 months ago. The case stirred up considerable public reaction in Britain. Our reporter Mustafa Zaru met with Yusra.
The two children are still missing, and the search for them has been ongoing for 9 months. This breaks the heart of Dr. Yusra Abu Hamid, the mother of the two boys. According to Yusra, the story began in Birmingham, England, when her husband, Dr. Bassam Ouda, picked up the two boys, Sami, 7 years old, and Rami, 3 years old, to spend a weekend with him last December. But they never returned. The mother learned from a text message sent to her phone that her sons had been taken to Syria to live. It is believed that Sami and Rami traveled with their father with Syrian or Jordanian passports, despite the fact that Dr. Yusra's lawyer kept the children's British and Syrian passports.
I received a message saying that he was thinking it was the best move for the children's lives. He did not consider the fact that Sami and Rami are my kids as much as they are his. They are not the kids of anyone else, nobody. No one will love them more than I do.
Today, Yusra vents her pain, sorrow, and sadness caused by the missing of her dear children. Sami and Rami's absence has created an empty space in her life. She hopes, at least, to see her two sons again.
No one will be able to answer the questions that my children must be asking. Why isn't our mother here? They'd be wondering, did she die? Doesn't our mother want us anymore? Or is there something more important in her life than us? This is what hurts me now.
All court verdicts were in favor of Dr. Yusra Abu Hamid and gave her the custody of her two children. Despite the intervention of the British police and the help of the Syrian judiciary system, the mother and her two children still have not been reunited, and the children's location remains unknown.
If you find yourself in such a situation where children are abducted and taken overseas, a lawyer from each of the countries must be delegated to work on the case together. This is because there are two different judiciary systems involved. However, I don't think that any judiciary system would forbid a child from seeing his parents in normal situations.
Dr. Yusra was forced to sacrifice her job at the Birmingham Health Services Center and traveled to Syria to continue the search for the two children. While waiting to see her sons, the mother keeps recalling the memories of Sami and Rami, reiterating that she will never give them up, no matter how high the price.
Get more news about the Middle East online at linktv.org/Mosaic. The Mosaic webpage offers a complete archive of Mosaic programs, program transcripts, the Mosaic video podcast, and the Mosaic Intelligence Report, a weekly analysis of the hottest stories from the Middle East. The views expressed on Mosaic are those of the participating broadcasters, not Link TV or its sponsors. The production of Mosaic is made possible with the support of viewers like you. Thank you.
This program is brought to you by Link TV for educational and non-commercial use only. Link TV is the only U.S. network dedicated to global and national news, uncompromising documentaries, and diverse cultural programs which connect you to the world.